Ally Carter claims 50 Cent censored key Diddy footage in Netflix documentary. Ally Carter, one of the most outspoken accusers tied to the Sean Diddy Combs scandals, says that Sean Combs' The Reckoning, produced by 50 Cent and Netflix, left out explosive material she believes was too damaging to be shown. Carter insists there was additional video and testimony that didn't make the final cut, allegedly because it would have blown the story wider open, and that the version released on Netflix was toned down for legal or strategic reasons. Her claims suggest that the doc, while already controversial, only scratches the surface of what insiders know about Combs' behavior and the parties involved. The Netflix series itself includes previously unseen footage of Diddy, days before his 2024 arrest, and interviews with former associates and jurors from his federal trial. However, Combs' legal team argues that some of this private material was used without authorization, sparking accusations of censorship and ethical concerns over what was included and what was left behind in the final edit. When the long-anticipated Diddy documentary backed by 50 Cent finally premiered, it arrived with enormous hype. Promoted as a no-holds-barred look into the controversies surrounding Sean Diddy Combs, many viewers expected a project that would expose everything, every rumor, every allegation, every uncomfortable truth the industry had avoided for years. The documentary did deliver shocking moments, emotional testimony, and damning context. But according to Ally Carter, it also delivered something else: a carefully controlled narrative. Ally Carter, who has become a loud and polarizing voice online when it comes to discussions about Diddy and the people around him, claims that what audiences saw was not the full story. In her view, the documentary was not outright false, but it was incomplete by design. Carter alleges that certain information, footage, and testimony were intentionally excluded, and she has repeatedly suggested that 50 Cent's role as executive producer played a part in determining how far the documentary was allowed to go. To be clear, Carter's statements remain allegations and personal opinions, not verified facts. Still, her claims have ignited widespread debate because they touch on a deeper issue many viewers already suspect. When powerful people expose other powerful people, there are often invisible lines that cannot be crossed. A documentary that felt careful from the opening episodes. The documentary establishes a serious tone. It highlights troubling accusations, revisits Diddy's rise to power, and features interviews that paint a disturbing picture of unchecked influence. But for some viewers, including Carter, something felt off. Scenes cut abruptly. Certain claims were raised but never fully explored. Names were implied but never spoken. Context was teased, then quietly dropped. Carter argues that these were not editing mistakes or pacing choices. She believes they were deliberate omissions, according to her. The documentary repeatedly approached explosive territory only to pull back at the last moment. The result, she says, is a project that appears bold on the surface but avoids exposing the deeper systems that allegedly enabled Diddy's behavior for decades. It stops where it gets dangerous. One of Carter's most repeated claims is that the documentary stopped short of identifying other powerful individuals who allegedly knew about, participated in, or helped cover up wrongdoing. She argues that portraying Diddy as a singular villain is misleading and convenient, because it spares the industry from examining its own role. In Carter's words, the most important story isn't just about what Diddy allegedly did, it's about who protected him. She claims that additional interviews existed that went further than what was shown, including testimony that allegedly named names and described specific incidents involving people far beyond Diddy himself. According to Carter, these moments were either edited down to vague statements or removed entirely. Again, these claims are unverified, but they resonate because they align with a long-standing criticism of celebrity exposes. They often sacrifice systemic truth for individual downfall. Why 50 Cent is central to the accusations. The reason Carter continues to mention 50 Cent is not because she believes he supports Diddy. In fact, 50 Cent has publicly mocked Diddy for years and has positioned himself as one of his loudest critics. However, Carter argues that criticism does not automatically mean transparency. She suggests that 50 Cent understands power, branding, and legal risk better than almost anyone in the industry. From her perspective, the documentary was never meant to be a full demolition. It was meant to be a controlled explosion. Carter claims that as an executive producer, 50 Cent would have had influence over final cuts, legal approvals, and narrative framing. She believes that influence resulted in a version of the story that exposes Diddy enough to dominate headlines, while stopping short of triggering lawsuits or implicating people whose involvement could create larger consequences. There is no public evidence proving that 50 Cent personally censored specific scenes. But Carter's argument is less about secret meetings and more about how power naturally operates behind the scenes. Legal risk versus truth. One of the strongest counter-arguments to Carter's claims is legal reality. Documentaries dealing with ongoing investigations and unproven allegations must be extremely careful. Defamation laws, non-disclosure agreements, and potential civil suits can shut down a project instantly. Carter acknowledges this, but she argues that legal caution was applied selectively. She questions why some accusations were presented bluntly, while others were softened or skipped entirely. Why were certain stories allowed emotional depth, while others were reduced to brief mentions? Why did the documentary raise questions it refused to answer? To Carter, this suggests editorial choice rather than unavoidable legal limitation. The Netflix effect. Another part of Carter's argument centers on the platform itself. Netflix, she says, is not an independent journalist. It is a global corporation with financial interests, brand considerations, and relationships throughout Hollywood. According to her, the idea that a Netflix documentary would expose everyone involved in a powerful industry scandal is unrealistic. She believes the documentary was designed to be shocking enough to trend, but safe enough to survive. This doesn't mean, in her view, that the project is worthless. Instead, she sees it as a first move, not a final statement, a way to prepare the public for uncomfortable conversations without detonating the entire system at once. Audience reaction. Suspicion grows since Carter began speaking out. Many viewers have returned to the documentary with renewed skepticism. Online discussions now focus less on what was shown and more on what was missing. People point out moments where interviews abruptly cut mid-thought faces, and names were obscured without explanation. Allegations were mentioned but never followed up. These details have fueled a growing belief that there is more footage somewhere. Footage the public hasn't seen, of course. Others accuse Carter of exaggerating for attention, arguing that speculation without proof only muddies serious issues. The debate has become almost as loud as the documentary itself. Silence. From the producers, neither 50 Cent nor the documentary's production team has publicly addressed Carter's specific censorship claims. That silence has become part of the story. Supporters of Carter argue that silence implies discomfort. Critics say responding would only legitimize unverified accusations, regardless of interpretation. The lack of response has allowed the narrative to grow unchecked online. A pattern Hollywood knows too well. What gives Carter's claims traction is history. Hollywood has a long record of protecting powerful figures until the cost of silence becomes higher than exposure. Many scandals once dismissed as rumors later turned out to be far worse than anyone publicly admitted. Carter positions herself as someone refusing to wait years for the full truth to trickle out. She insists that the documentary is not the end of the story, but the beginning of a carefully staged release of information. In her view, the most dangerous details are still being withheld not because they aren't real, but because the industry isn't ready to face them. Setting the tone for what comes next. Part 1 of this story is not about proving what was censored. It's about understanding why so many people believe something was. Ally Carter's claims reflect a growing distrust of mainstream exposes and a belief that true accountability rarely comes from within the same systems that created the problem, whether Carter is right or wrong. Her accusations have changed how many people view the documentary. What once looked like a definitive expose now feels, to some, like a controlled preview. And that raises the question that refuses to go away. If this is the version the public was allowed to see, what happens when the rest of the story comes out? While Part 1 focused on the broad claims surrounding the Diddy documentary and Ally Carter's assertion that footage and testimony were intentionally withheld, Part 2 dives deeper into the specific material she alleges was removed or altered. According to Carter, what viewers saw on Netflix represents only a fraction of the evidence that existed down the most explosive details, she claims, never made it to the screen. Alleged witnesses and interviews. 1. Carter's central points is that multiple insiders were prepared to give on-camera testimony, but were either excluded entirely or reduced to brief, edited clips. She claims these individuals would have revealed new perspectives on Diddy's network of influence, particularly regarding how alleged misconduct was covered up or ignored by others in his circle. For Carter, these missing voices are critical because they would have provided context and accountability beyond Diddy himself. She alleges that some testimonies included specific names of associates who allegedly enabled Diddy deals of interactions and events that contradicted documentary's portrayal of timelines, direct accounts from alleged victims that were heavily edited or blurred according to her. Leaving these out created a narrative that isolates Diddy as a singular bad actor, while shielding the broader ecosystem of industry insiders from scrutiny. Carter emphasizes that this framing matters because it shapes public perception and potentially influences ongoing investigations or civil actions. Footage that never aired in addition to interviews. Carter claims that video evidence existed but was withheld. She suggests there were recordings from private events, alleged interactions between Diddy and associates, and behind-the-scenes moments that could have provided undeniable context. While the documentary included some archival footage, Carter asserts that the most incriminating clips were either cut entirely or shortened to remove identifying details. Carter insists that 50 Cent, in his role as executive producer, would have had editorial approval over these cuts, meaning that decisions about what footage could be publicly aired likely went through his team. While it is impossible to independently confirm which clips were omitted, Carter's detailed accounts of what she claims existed suggest a deliberate choice to protect certain individuals or limit legal exposure. Sensitive allegations left unexplored. Carter has repeatedly mentioned allegations that were hinted at but never fully explored in the documentary. These include claims about financial manipulation, threats, and alleged coercion within Diddy's inner circle. She suggests that showing these incidents in full could have implicated other high-profile figures, potentially leading to lawsuits or career-ending revelations. Carter argues that the documentary instead opted for teasing controversy, without delivering total exposure strategy that sparks discussion online but stops short of revealing everything. To her, this is a hallmark of controlled narrative. Create shockwaves, but leave the strongest detonations on the cutting room floor. Editing choices and narrative. Framing. Another area Carter critiques is the way the documentary frames its narrative through editing. Scenes are juxtaposed in ways that imply tension or conflict, while others are glossed over. Names are blurred, conversations are shortened, and certain events are referenced vaguely rather than explicitly. Carter believes these choices were intentional, designed to generate curiosity and conversation, without crossing lines that could expose the full network of alleged wrongdoing. She argues that this type of editorial control is common in Hollywood documentaries but becomes particularly notable when a figure like 50 Cent is involved, given his awareness of public perception, social media impact, and legal boundaries. Social media teasers. V's final cut. Carter has also pointed out discrepancies between footage teased on social media prior to release and what appeared in the final version of the documentary. Clips that appeared promising, which seemed to show new angles or confrontations, often never aired. According to her, this is a clear sign that the most sensitive material was removed, reinforcing her claims of selective censorship. Fans online have noted these gaps too, creating speculation and fueling conversation about what really happened behind the scenes. Carter suggests that these omissions were strategic, allowing the documentary to generate buzz without revealing too much why it matters for Carter. These alleged omissions are not just about sensational content, they have real implications for accountability by controlling which voices, footage, and allegations are shared. The documentary shapes public understanding and limits the scope of scrutiny. Carter believes that viewers deserve the full picture, not just a curated version that emphasizes spectacle over truth. Her repeated warnings highlight a broader issue in Hollywood. When documentaries are produced within the same entertainment ecosystem they critique, there is often a tension between truth-telling and protection of powerful figures. Carter's perspective suggests that understanding what is not shown can be just as important as analyzing what is on screen. The ongoing conversation, even as Netflix viewers debate the documentary. Ally Carter's statements continue to stir conversation online. Clips from her live streams, tweets, and interviews have been widely shared, with fans dissecting every claim and cross-referencing it with scenes from the series. While some dismiss her commentary as speculation, others see it as a key insight into the limitations and pressures of documentary filmmaking in the celebrity world. Carter's claims raise important questions. How much of the documentary was shaped by legal considerations? How much was influenced by 50 Cent's executive role? And, most importantly, how much evidence was intentionally withheld from the public? Conclusion: a story still unfolding. Part 2 underscores Carter's central argument that the documentary released to Netflix is only part of the story. According to her, the most explosive material, which could have exposed additional figures and detailed incidents, was censored or excluded, whether or not her claims are fully accurate. They highlight the tension between media production, celebrity influence, and public perception for viewers. This means the narrative around Diddy, 50 Cent, and the wider industry may be far from complete. As Part 3 will explore the potential fallout from these omissions and what Carter suggests is yet to come could dramatically reshape how the public understands this story and the networks of power surrounding it. After exploring the alleged omissions and censored material in Part 2, Part 3 focuses on what Ally Carter predicts could be the next phase of this unfolding drama. According to her, the Netflix documentary is only the tip of the iceberg, and the most explosive revelations are still hidden, either intentionally held back by producers or strategically delayed to control public reaction. The untold consequences. Carter believes that if the censored material ever surfaces, the impact could extend far beyond Diddy himself. She suggests that other high-profile figures in the entertainment industry, previously shielded from scrutiny, could find themselves under renewed public and legal examination. The censored footage, she claims, could show a network of influence and complicity, people who allegedly turned a blind eye, enabled questionable behavior, or directly participated in controversial activities. According to Carter, the timing of the documentary's release may also have been a calculated move. By revealing only part of the story, the producers generate buzz, debate, and social media frenzy, while retaining control over the narrative for future projects, interviews, or follow-up exposes. This method allows those in power to shape how the public digests information, while keeping the door open for a next chapter that could have even greater implications. Public reaction and speculations. Since the documentary dropped, fans and critics alike have debated what was included and what was left out. Many viewers, influenced by Carter's claims, are now re-examining the series for inconsistencies, abrupt cuts, and moments where names or incidents seem intentionally obscured. Social media platforms have become hotbeds of speculation, with threads dissecting each scene and theorizing about the footage that never made it to Netflix. Some observers praise Carter for raising these questions, arguing that her insight highlights the limits of celebrity exposes when powerful figures are involved. Others dismiss her statements as unverified speculation, cautioning against assuming censorship without proof. Regardless of one's stance, her commentary has undeniably shifted the conversation, focusing attention on the stories left untold and the implications of selective storytelling. Why it matters. Carter emphasizes that the issue isn't simply about shocking content or celebrity drama, it's about accountability. According to her, leaving out significant information shapes how audiences perceive the people involved, the scale of alleged wrongdoing, and the responsibility of those who allegedly enabled it. By controlling the narrative, she argues, the documentary shapes public understanding while avoiding the difficult conversations that might come with exposing the full story. This point resonates with viewers, increasingly skeptical of curated media. In an age where social media allows for instant scrutiny, Carter's perspective reminds audiences that what they see is often a version filtered through legal considerations, celebrity influence, and strategic media choices. Looking ahead, like Carter's predictions hint at a larger, ongoing story. She believes that the full scope of what allegedly happened both on screen and behind the scenes has yet to be revealed. If future footage, testimonies, or investigative reports emerge, they could drastically change public perception of Diddy, his associates, and the network of power surrounding him. Her commentary also serves as a cautionary tale for audiences. It's important to question narratives, consider what may be missing, and recognize that even high-profile documentaries are products of negotiation, risk management, and strategic storytelling. Conclusion. Ultimately, Carter's allegations about 50 Cent's role in censoring the Diddy documentary underscore a recurring tension in Hollywood. The conflict between